notice that I love bees. I know a lot of people don't like bees, but I love bees. It's kind of like the page. I would like to turn your fear into fascination. So I will attempt to do that today. And with a technical speech, I wanted to make you aware of my sources, mentalfloss.com, the Beekeeper's Bible, personal experience, and the Honey Nut Cheerios box. So a lot of you probably heard that there is a dilemma with the bees. The colony has drastically reduced. What they call that is the colony collapse disorder. Kind of like ADD or whatever, they have something for bees too. But the importance of bees is that 1 in 3 foods that we eat is a direct result of pollination. So bees aren't the only ones that pollinate. Butterflies do, the wind does, different things pollinate. So it's not just bees, but bees are an important part of this. Now, what is the cause of the colony collapse disorder? There's a couple of things. You can see here are the insecticides. And the insecticides have neonotics, and that is a neuroactive insecticide, similar to nicotine, so it affects the brain. The other problem is transportation. Since there's a bee dilemma, they are actually transporting bees from one field to the next, and there's attrition that happens in that transport, kind of like jet lag. Single megacrop farming. This is because the farmers, in order to make a lot of money, they grow the same thing for miles and miles. This is more economical because they have the tractors and all the equipment they need for that one crop. Bees are so precise in how they make their honey. They have a list of things that they need to make the perfect honey. And when they have just one source of food that they have to travel a lot further. So this is another problem. And then, of course, hive mites and other pests. Albert Einstein was quoted as saying that humans would follow within 4 years if bees became extinct. So it's a serious problem. Let's talk about honey. This is where you get the tacky techie, like I was talking to Jason about. Honey is amazing. It is antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, antifungal. It's insulin producing and has cancer prevention properties. Now, the way the bee makes honey is fascinating and disgusting all at the same time. The bee will go out and collect its nectar, like in this first shot here. The second shot, you can see kind of this yellow area. That is called the honey pot. You've heard the expression honey pot, but the bees actually have a compartment in their stomachs that's called the honey pot. That's where they store the nectar. When they get back to the hive, they regurge the nectar. And part of what happens in the honey pot, there are enzymes in their honey pot that make this honey. And so they regurge, and then they spend a lot of effort and energy fanning the regurged honey to reduce the water content. So it starts out at 70% water content. They get it down to 30% water content. And you can imagine bees are not very big, so it takes a lot of bees to make a quart of honey. Oh, personal experience about the honey. It was last year, I was supposed to go in for surgery. I had a wound from a previous surgery that had not healed. And I'd been under the knife quite a bit that year, and I'm like, I'm not gonna let this happen again. So I started putting honey on the wound, and I was actually in the hospital with an IV in my arm. They were getting ready to wheel me in, and the doctor checked it. She says, you don't need surgery today. So it really works. The colony. The colony is made up of 3 different types of bees. The drone bees over here, the chubby ones, the queen bee, the worker bee. This is a matriarchal society. The queen bee sets the tone. Everything is done for the queen bee. The worker bees, they take care of the queen bee. They do all the work. They clean the hive, they feed the babies, they scout, they forage for the food. The drone's responsibility solely is to mate the queen. The drone will fly out with the queen, and they will mate the queen. After the drone does that, he dies. So it's kind of a interesting existence. If not, the male bee is inside the hive, eating and getting fat and just waiting for his time to be with the queen. I won't say any more about that. This right here is really interesting. Well, Dawn and I were discussing, we don't know if honeybees are really using vector calculus, but they are using vectors what happens is the bees will go out, the foraging bees will go out, scout bees will go out, find out the sources of nectar. They come back to the hive and they do a dance that shows the location of where the sources of nectar are. So I'm going to try to show this slide, or this quick thing here. So this is called
just
dance.
The forager begins to dance in the middle of the hive by shaking his body. It is difficult to believe, but in the course of this dance, the shaking will give the other bees all the information about where the flowers are located. The forager begins to dance in the middle of the hive by shaking his body. It is difficult to believe, but in the course of this dance, the shaking will give the other bees all the information about where the flowers are located. For example, if the dance is in straight lines towards the upper part of the hive, the source of nutrients is exactly in the direction of the sun.
Okay, so, and the other interesting thing that happens, the sun actually rotates 1 degree every 4 minutes, and the bees know how to take that into consideration. They do that calculation. Amazing. Gotta hurry on here. What can we do to be of help? Well, Buzz, the Honey Nut Cheerios Buzz guy, he has a way you can get free seeds and plant wildflowers in your garden. So that's a way to help with the bees. The other thing, if you have a bee problem in your house, call a humane bee removal company, because you may find that in your attic or something. So to finish up here, I want you to be aware, but also be aware. Madam Toastmaster.